And welcome from Beachside, where usually we have a good fun, but today we have a little more serious talk and a little serious conversation with a friend of mine who I've known for many, many years. Her name is Alyssa. She's from New York, and she went through the COVID situation. She was I don't know if you were a patient. Would you consider yourself a patient?
Well, I guess I'd consider myself a survivor.
A survivor. That's what I
I
would
wasn't
say.
a patient. I
Right,
took
a
care of
survivor.
myself.
It's weird it's a virus that you would consider yourself a survivor on because it's like cancer survivors, and but now it's like COVID survivors because it's such a serious thing. Last time we saw each other was at a couple years ago, my niece's bat mitzvah in
Right.
Miami in South Florida. You actually went through it. We're going to hear from somebody, Alyssa, who actually went through this, and we're not hearing third party or a friend of a friend of a friend. And this is Alyssa actually had COVID-19, which is coronavirus disease 19. It's a SARS virus, a respiratory disease, and I guess you have to have it in the lungs to really have it. When you started feeling it, like how are you right now? Let's get to that. How are you doing right now?
Fine physically and mostly fine emotionally, but I'm working on that.
Why? What emotionally? Why? What's
Well, I was in bed for 2 weeks with fever, aches, pains, stomach issues.
and how does that get to you emotionally though? How do you what was it mentally? Were you frightened while you had it?
Honestly, I just felt so lousy. I couldn't eat. I was taking medicines. Every 6 hours was Tylenol. I was forcing myself to drink water. I was forcing myself to eat something, and I was just eating carbs.
So mentally now you feeling like what do you feel? Do you feel victimized? Do you feel depressed about
Yeah,
having it?
I'm not depressed. It's more like, why did I get it? Why me? Like, why did I get it? No, none of my friends, only me. Actually,
Do you even know anybody else that has it?
the person who probably gave it to me.
Person who gave it to you. So let's go to how it all started to day one. You didn't know you had it, or you knew you were around someone. Did you know you were around someone before you had it?
No. What happened? I remember waking up. It was March 17th. I had a migraine, sinus migraine, which I get occasionally. So
A lot of
I
people
went to
do.
work.
So people got to be
So,
careful of just thinking they have it from a headache.
well, people do get headaches from it, believe it or not.
Right.
So that
Well, that's one of the
is
signs. Right.
that is one of them. So I woke up with a migraine. I still went to work. I work with language delayed babies in their homes. I'm a teacher. I only had 2 sessions that day because it was a lot of the parents didn't want sessions anymore because of what was going on. So I went to work.
So in March, things were going on at that point. It was well known, or was it just starting to
March
be known?
17th was the last day. After I went into that last session, I was told, we were all told, we can't work anymore with the babies.
That
Like,
was it.
no more,
Right.
no more home services. By Wednesday, we were told that we can. So we started again on Thursday. We had to get permissions, slips, and so on and so forth. So Wednesday, I woke up. I felt okay. Wednesday night, I felt a little achy. Thursday, I was okay during the day when I got up. Thursday night, I was feeling tired and achy. I was actually with my son. I took him to a doctor appointment. I brought him to my apartment, cooked him dinner, drove him home, came home, and went to sleep. I didn't feel well.
Did you? How was the headaches? Were you still having the headaches, or no?
Headaches. My body was just achy at night, but not during the day, so I was fine. I thought, I was actually Googling, why does my body hurt, thinking maybe I have rheumatoid arthritis. I was looking up all the different kinds of reasons why my body would
Right.
hurt
You
me.
weren't even thinking corona at this point.
Not at all.
It couldn't get you.
No, no way.
Right.
I was going shopping for my mother. I was going shopping for, people, myself. I had bought sanitizer. I was crazy, actually. I have sanitizers and wipes and gloves. I mean, I had it all. I was
You have
using it.
toilet paper blocking the doorway. You can't get in. Right. Yeah.
I'm afraid I'm going to run out of toilet paper, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So by Friday, I think I got, no, actually Friday I went out for a walk with a friend. Came home. I think Friday night I became very achy in the night. If I'm remembering correctly, I was very achy. My body was like, it was 101. My body was killing me. I felt awful. So the next morning, I think my temperature had gone down, and I was going to look for a place to get tested.
When you had the fever, were you feeling just lousy, or you were just laying in bed, or
Sleeping, and my body kept waking me up. The pain in my body was so horrendous. I think I woke up every half hour. I would fall asleep, I'd wake up, and I didn't understand what was going on until
and like, were you feeling with the pain? Were you crampy? Was it like, what was the pain? What were you feeling?
My legs, nothing was cramping, but my legs were just killing it. I kept stretching them out, and it was just, I can't even, the skin, the bones.
Like everywhere. It was hurt? It hurt? You were hurting?
It hurt so bad. Mostly my legs. But when when it spiked to 101, and even at some point it was almost 102, but that night. And then I got the call saying that the speech therapist had coronavirus.
Oh, somebody called you to tell you that someone you were working with had the virus.
Right. So a family called me to tell me that the speech therapist had the virus, and that's when I realized I probably had the virus. And that was actually right before the fever spiked up to like 101.
Did they contact anyone else and they end up with it, or no? Or you were the only one?
The therapist had it, the mother and son had it, but she didn't even tell me until after when I started sessions with them 2 weeks later. She didn't even tell me that they were sick. And it could have been brewing from the week before. I don't think, like I didn't just get it on March 17th. It could have been brewing from the week before.
Because it takes a couple days at least.
Right. And we were told not to bring our own toys in, just to use the kids' toys. So I don't know if she cleaned them.
Right.
I don't know if I got it just from him. He's always, they're all crying. Babies cry all the time.
Right. Were you with the speech therapist? Were you around her at some point? No. Oh, you weren't?
No.
Oh, so something in there.
They did end up getting sick. My symptoms could have come out before their symptoms. There's a 1 to 14 day period that your symptoms come out. So maybe mine came out before the families came out.
So you were laying in bed, you were sick, or you woke up and you were feeling horrible?
Horrible. So Saturday I decided I am going to go get tested somewhere. So I went into an urgent care. They told me they don't want to waste my time. They said they don't have any tests left. There were only 12 and I was there too late. So I went into another urgent care. And they told me, I said, I don't feel well. I want to be tested for COVID-19.
Right.
The guy there said, check in on the iPad.
Right.
Now, I had a mask on, okay? Check in on the iPad. I didn't have gloves. Right. I had to touch the iPad. He says, come back in 2.5 hours. That's when your appointment is. Right. Well, I assumed they were testing me because if they're telling me to come back and I'm telling them I want a COVID test, I would assume they were going to test me.
Right. And you were signing in on an iPad without gloves. There was a study done about these kiosks at banks. The banks now want you to use the kiosks, the tellers, and they're just loaded with bacteria on the screens.
Have to be.
Yeah, everybody's touching it. When you have so many people touching things like that.
I told him, I said I was with somebody who had COVID. I wasn't directly with them, but and I don't feel well. So 2.5 hours later, I go in and the doctor says, I said, I don't feel well. I need to be tested for COVID-19. I was with someone who had it. I really think that I have it. She said, oh, sorry, we don't test here.
They don't test there, or they don't test you?
We don't do those tests here. I mean, that was then. Now I'm sure it's different. I said, okay, well, I don't feel well then. Can you test me for the flu? She says, well, a lot of people get tested for the flu and it comes negative. It doesn't mean it's negative. I said, I don't care. I said, just test me for the flu. And she said, we don't have any left. She says, go home and quarantine yourself. How does she know I don't live with an elderly person, a baby, children? She doesn't know that. Maybe I couldn't just quarantine myself. And how did she know I didn't have it or wasn't going to get sick or get somebody sick? I was on the phone waiting 3.5 hours to get tested at a testing site. After speaking with someone, they said someone will get back to you from the Department of Health. Called me the next night. And by Tuesday, which was a week after my first symptom, I went there. They tested me. 2 days later, I called. So now we're talking about 9 days after my first symptom.
Right.
And I was tested. I was positive, which I wasn't surprised because I don't get sick. And I certainly wouldn't have fever that goes up and down. The fever goes up and down, up and down. I just stayed in bed, took Tylenol every 6 hours. Like I said,
who was around you at the time? Was anyone around you?
I was at some 2 babies' homes. That's another baby. I was there. They didn't get sick. The parents didn't get sick. The other baby didn't get sick.
But did anyone come around you at your house?
While I was sick?
Yeah.
My mother
Yeah.
made me food. She would bring over bananas and a baked potato because I needed to eat something, and she would bring it up the stairs and put it on the table, and I would stay in my room. And then I would come out later to get it. I stayed in my room because I couldn't get out of bed.
Right.
Other people brought food. They left it downstairs, so I had to walk all the way down my steps and crawl down practically. But some of my friends were unbelievable and left me food or got medicine for me.
That's right. So I want to go back. So all your symptoms you had.
I'll tell you my.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, started with the migraine, achy body. Then the temperature went up.
There we got symptoms from the CDC, so we're going to see what matches up.
Right. Okay, so we have muscle pain, the headache. Now, as for taste and smell, it says loss of taste and smell. Everything to me tasted horrible, so I guess I had a loss of taste, but things did taste, but it just tasted bad. And as for smell, I actually was smelling things that I never smelled before, so it was the opposite. I didn't lose this sense of smell. I gained extra sense of smell, which was really
But it smelled bad. Everything smelled bad, though.
Everything smelled bad, right.
And tasted bad.
And smelled bad, but it wasn't like I lost it.
Right,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's interesting. I would like to know if other people had that same experience with, it says loss of taste or smell. So you kind of lost you lost a taste, but it really picked up a different taste, but it was a bad taste.
Yes.
So you lost the taste of the food, actually.
Right. And as for smell, I didn't lose it. Everything smelled. I mean, I can't even tell you what I was smelling. Like walking into my daughter's room, I'm like, whoa. and I'm walking now and I don't smell anything.
Right.
Then it says chills, repeated shaking with chills. I was cold. I was hot. I was cold. I was chilly.
That was due to the fever.
That was due to the fever.
Right.
Let's see what we have here. Sore throat, no.
So what about the lungs? Because the lungs is a big thing in this whole thing.
After 2 weeks, and I was up to 101.6. I was on the phone with my boyfriend, and I started coughing. And he's like, wait a minute. I said, you know what? Let me take a deep breath in, because I breathe very shallow. I said, let me take a deep breath in. I went, and I was coughing. So it didn't hit me until 2 weeks later, and my lungs were hurting me.
They did, and what were they, sore? You were feeling sore in there? Like when you would breathe, they would hurt, or?
Only if I took a deep breath in, it hurt. I had 100.6. I wasn't getting any better. My boyfriend called someone who actually prescribed me hydrochloroquine and a Z-pac. I took that.
The controversial drug in the news now.
A day after I took it, my temperature went down to 99, and the next day, which was April 1st, I know my dates.
Right.
There was no fever, no aches, nothing. But, to go back, I had a lot of digestive issues, too, which aren't on your list.
Right. Well, I didn't
A lot
make
of
that.
About the list you showed me.
Right, the CDC list, right.
A lot of digestive problems.
You weren't holding things down? You were eating, or were you just feeling?
No, I was not vomiting.
No, you didn't.
No,
Right.
I was nauseous, and I had diarrhea.
Right.
And I felt, I don't know if you know what hunger pangs are, because we usually eat when we're hungry, but imagine that's how I felt. My stomach felt hungry no matter what, and even if I ate, between the taste and my stomach still feeling hungry, that was a horrible feeling too.
You didn't matter what you eat. You had that empty feeling of needing to eat.
Right. But
Right.
then I lost 13 pounds, so
Kind of
I couldn't
good.
really.
Right. You probably got rid of a lot of junk in the system. As far when the lungs, because most people are not going to experience this. What was that pain like? Was that like, were you able to breathe deep, or when you would breathe deep, did you get afraid to breathe deeply because you knew it would hurt and it made you breathe shallower, or just normal breathing was painful?
Normal breathing was fine. Deeper breathing was actually scaring me. It actually started to scare me that it was now in my lungs. So I actually thought that at some point I was going to have to go to the hospital. That it was because everything was, all my symptoms were just getting bad. They were getting worse by the day.
So how did you end up getting tested? How did you get the appointment?
I called up, it's like the Jones Beach hotline for a COVID test. I stayed on the phone for 3.5 hours until someone picked up. They told me the Department of Health will get back to me. The Department of Health called me Saturday evening, and there were 2 places to go, either Jones Beach in Nassau County or Stony Brook out east in Suffolk County. And
so you had to make an appointment. You couldn't just go.
actually, some people could just go,
Yeah.
but I wasn't going to drive there if they turned me down.
Right. Right.
My half-hour drive there and back was so exhausting. When you don't feel good, the last thing you want to do is go into a car with a mask on your face and gloves on, and it was just horrible.
I think people don't understand that, like, it was a fairly sudden disease, and they have to make the tests. They're not ready to make like 100,000 tests. It takes time to make all these things. I mean, they couldn't make toilet paper fast enough to supply people, so there were not enough tests to be done. So it took time for people to get them. What was the test? What was it? What did you have to do? Because I'm hearing like there's the nose test and
they actually, I could tell you, when you get there, they don't want you opening your windows because they don't want to breathe your stuff. Your breath.
So it was a drive-through.
It was a drive-through.
So they gave you a test and a burger.
Yeah. So he just stuck this thing all the way back of my nose.
You did it or they did it?
They did it. He stuck this, I'm not going to say it was a Q-tip. I don't know what it was. All the way back in my nose.
One nose, one nostril, one side.
He did one nostril. Yeah.
One side.
He did one nostril. But then I was retested afterwards. On April 7th.
So how deep did it go up there?
Pretty deep. It makes you want to, like, you tear up.
Wow. Like it goes into your sinuses, would you say, up here?
Yeah. You know what? That wasn't the worst thing because I didn't feel well enough to know what I was getting. I've had sinus issues and I've had things up my nose. No.
Did someone drive you, or you drove by yourself?
Nobody was going near me at this point. I drove by myself, and it was the longest, hardest ride. I came home. I was exhausted.
See, because one of the symptoms I thought was like lightheadedness or dizziness, and so now people trying to get tested have to stay alone, and they're driving, and they're not really even in shape to be driving.
Exactly.
So you got people driving on the road who shouldn't even be on the road. I mean, you could be like delirious and with a high fever. It's kind of dangerous in itself.
100.4 that day.
Yeah.
Which, listen, 99 for me. I had 99 when my symptoms first came out. That's when my body was hurting. If I get 90, my daughter and I get 99, we don't feel good. Other people are fine with temperature of 99. Nope.
Oh, you're sick at 99?
I am very sick, very achy and sick at 99, and I can't even tell you the last time I had any temperature. I couldn't even tell you. I don't remember. That's why, I knew after a day or so when I was achy that something wasn't right.
So the test, I'm surprised. I would thought the test would really be like hurting or annoying, but you're saying that wasn't such a bad. It wasn't that bad.
Annoying.
Oh, it was not painful.
Nose. No, not painful. Annoying, not painful. You kind of go, like that.
Right. It's in and it's out.
Yeah.
Right. And then how long? What was the results? How long were the results? How long did that take?
They say 48 to 72 hours. But somebody gave me a phone number they saw on the news to call and get your results. And it was Thursday evening, about 10 o'clock. I called. She said, give me your email. I'll send them right to you. And then 10 o'clock at night, They were my results. I
That
would
was
have
it.
had to wait. I might have had to wait a week till they got back to me.
Oh, right, which would have delayed the treatment.
Not really. It just would have delayed me knowing I already had it, which I kind of knew anyway.
Right, but at what point did you get the hydrochloroquine? Were you already taking it at this point or not?
March 30th. So when I was first tested, it was March 24th. And 6 days later, I got the medication just because it started to go into the lungs and affect my lungs. And so when I
Right.
took a deep breath in,
Right.
it's like, oh no, not this. That could have been a start of pneumonia. But just so you know, and everyone
Right.
who watches this, doctors will not prescribe these medications to you unless you're in the hospital. I happen to have known somebody, or I would have been in the hospital because
Right.
it wasn't going to get better. I wasn't getting better. I was just getting worse.
Because one of the things people are saying, the anti-hydrochloroquine, they're trying to say doctors are not letting it shouldn't be used, but when you read what they're saying, it shouldn't be used outside of the hospital.
Right.
Because people don't know what to do. But it's also, the drug's been around since 1956, I think it was, for treating malaria, and people were not getting sick on it. You know, people were using it to treat malaria, and they still use it for things. And now they're trying to say it's a danger, and it's really not. I mean, I haven't heard of anybody affected badly by it. I just know of you who were cured, and that Michigan politician who was cured, who came out and said it was cured. So, and we're not saying anyone should take it or should not take it, but firsthand account, you took it, and what'd you take? Like one dose of it, or was it like every 4 hours? What was the
hydrochloroquine, I believe you take, I think it's 2 twice a day, and then 1 every day. You know what?
And then the z-pac was like take the 5, take the 4. Was it one of those?
z-pac is you take 2 the first day and then 1 every other
Right.
day, and it's for
Right.
5 days. So you're taking 2 and then 3 days.
The first day you took it. The next day, how did you feel?
My temperature went from about 101.4, 5 or 6, I don't know, 4 or 6, and went to 99.
That's amazing. That's great.
So at that point, 99 was good, even
Right.
though before I had 99, it wasn't good. But like all of a sudden, the aches went away.
Were you still coughing at this point?
The day
After the first day of the pills?
if I took a deep breath in, it still hurt.
Well, they were probably sore just from being sore at that point. And then what about the body aches?
Everything was diminishing.
And then 2 days later, it was gone. Whether the lungs were sore still, or
No aches, no pain, no fever, no diarrhea. My stomach wasn't feeling hungry anymore. I wasn't nauseous anymore.
so there's probably a lot of people that are home that have it that are not being treated properly. I'm wondering
Possible.
if they're even trying this to people that are older or in the assisted living.
I heard that, and I'm not sure. The hydrochloroquine could affect someone with a heart problem or blood clots or something. So
That's probably why they don't want people to just take it. You know,
Right.
they want to be able to monitor them. But I'd like to know if, you know, because they say people who are obese have problems and diabetes, and, you know, maybe they're not able to take it because of their problems.
No, they're not.
But I'm sure there's a lot of people who took it and got cured, and we just don't know about it.
I do know people. I mean, I saw some people on my friends on Facebook. This woman had it, the coronavirus, but she had a heart problem, so she couldn't take any medication. So her fever went way past 2 weeks.
When you were feeling the worst of it, did you feel like you wanted to die, or did you ever feel like you were dying? What was the worst feeling emotionally that you were going through?
I don't think like that, so I wasn't thinking I was going to die. But afterwards, when I was better, all I kept saying is, I could have died. While I was sick, I wasn't thinking that because I was just so sick. I do have to say, I had amazing friends and family who kept texting me and call. I didn't really answer a lot of calls because I just wasn't in the mood.
Right.
But texting me, that was my That was the reason why I felt like I can live, to be honest with you.
See, my friends would text me to make sure I'm laying down, and they would come in my house and take everything. That's the kind of friends I got.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Anybody could have been.
right. You're so weak. You're just laying around, and the the worst I ever felt was like having food poisoning, where I just, you almost want to die almost. That you feel so sick that you can't move, and everything's coming out from the top to the bottom, and so your worst feelings though, when you were laying in bed, did you ever feel hopeless?
Absolutely felt hopeless. And like, who has fever for 2 weeks at my age?
Right.
Whatever that age may be.
Right.
It's not normal. The aches and the pains and the fever and all the rest of the symptoms, that they just wouldn't go away.
Right.
I wasn't thinking of dying. I wasn't thinking that I'm going to die. I don't know why I didn't think that. I should have.
Because the whole process took a while. You were on the 17th. You wanted to go in. You went in, right? And you didn't get any response really, except to go home.
Well, the 17th was my first symptom.
Right.
Right. The 21st, which was that Saturday, was when I was told to go home and you're not testing you for anything. Right. So I'm not really sure why I'm here, because I only asked for a COVID-19 test. I didn't.
Did they even question you when you were there? Did they question you, or were they like bothered by you?
It was after 5 o'clock. They were supposed to close at 5, so they were probably annoyed. I was in my car. They told me, come on in. Asked me for a copay, which I was confused about.
Right.
Took my vital signs.
It's all about the money, Alyssa.
I know. Wait till you hear this one. All right. So they asked for my $25 copay. I go into the office, and I was just dissed.
You were
I was
what?
really dissed. They dissed me.
They dissed you. They were not interested in you.
Nope.
Right.
This doctor didn't care. She wasn't going to test me because maybe they didn't have any left. I believe that all the urgent cares at that time had tests, but they chose. So wait, she took my temperature. It was under 100. I wasn't coughing. She looked at my throat. Our throats don't look, if you have COVID-19, you don't have a sore throat.
Right.
You may have a cough. You may have phlegm in your throat. I always have a drip. Took my temperature. Like I said, I already knew what my temperature was. Listened to me breathe. I knew my breathing was fine. So I didn't have horrible symptoms yet. Not horrible enough for her. But I knew that I didn't feel well for 4 days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 days I didn't feel well. And I told her that I was in contact with someone who had the virus, and she still didn't care.
Yeah, because that's a reason to be tested. If you're not feeling well and you were in contact,
right,
that's a reason to be tested.
Now they are testing. Anywhere you go, they will test you. But when I went on the 21st, I was asked to just go home. And she didn't do anything for me.
Right.
I didn't need my vital signs looked at. I knew what my signs were. I knew my breathing was okay.
Right.
But she didn't ask me if my legs hurt or my arms hurt or my body hurt.
And they knew about it at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's weird. That's weird.
And they charged them for the visit to my insurance company. They charged, can I say the amount?
Yeah.
Over $400.
Wow.
And she didn't do anything.
Now, did you have to pay that, or the insurance company paid that?
The insurance paid $400. I paid my copay. I put a complaint into the compliancy department of this urgent care. The billing department came back, called me up and said, you still need to pay your copay. I said, I don't want to talk to billing. I want to talk to somebody who's in charge of this urgent care, not the billing department. Turns out I called back and someone closed my case. So I called back. I said, I want this open. I want somebody who's in charge, a head supervisor. I wait a few days. I called back. They closed it again. And now the last one that I put in was just a few days ago. another complaint saying she wants to speak to somebody who's in charge of this. It's hospitals and urgent care. It's a very big company. Somebody needs to call me back. Like, that was not right.
And did they or no?
Nope. I'm waiting. And then I filed a complaint to my insurance company and told them what happened. Hey, look, I may not get anywhere, but I'm still angry about that, actually.
Yeah, it's the whole way you were treated was rough. Yeah. So nobody you were in contact with after that got sick. Everybody was okay, right?
I was with my boyfriend Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. He didn't catch it. My son was with me. I took him to a doctor. I hope that doctor didn't catch it.
Right.
My son didn't catch it.
So everybody's healthy and you're healthy.
Now, yeah.
Like totally, like as if you didn't have it?
It took a few days.
Right.
It took a few days. I was really tired. And then like 2 weeks after that, I felt better, but I was still pretty tired. And 2 weeks after that, I did my first Zumba on Zoom.
Right, Zumba.
I literally was dancing. I was so excited and happy. I danced for 25 minutes, and then I was like, oh my God. And I finished it to the hour, but I couldn't dance for another week because my body was not strong enough.
When you were fatigued while it was going on, were you just really tired? You didn't want to get up?
Out of bed. I was in bed. I was watching a show on TV. I just kept watching it over and over and over, trying to pay attention to that, so I didn't pay attention to my pain. But the only time I got out of bed was to get water, if I didn't have tons of bottles in my room, to get water, to get something to eat. Banana, white rice, baked potato, or
Did you sleep? Did you sleep a lot?
Not enough.
No. But during the day, would you fall asleep?
No.
No.
Not really.
And that 2 weeks in the 2 weeks you were going through it before you took the medicine, you were getting more tired and more tired and more tired.
I also wasn't sleeping well.
Right, because you were waking up because of the fever.
Well, waking up from the fever, but waking up and anxious about the next day, about not feeling good again.
So it was scary.
Yes. Even to this day, I'll wake up at 5 in the morning and my head is spinning and I can't fall back asleep. So I'm still tired, but I'm tired not because I'm sick. I'm tired because I'm not sleeping well. Right.
When you got the email and you opened it up and it said you're COVID positive, what did it say, actually?
Want to say it? You want to? I should show you the one without my
Sure.
Without my name on it, right?
Okay. And when you got it, were you scared? Like when it's
When I knew it for sure.
Yeah.
It was scary. Did you see that? That's where I did that Jones Beach.
Lift it up a little bit. Raise it up. And what is that?
That's Jones Beach where I got the test.
Oh, and they have a tent?
That's what it looked like.
Yeah. Got you.
Okay.
Oh, I see. You were driving the drive-through. I got it. The car.
And here is, without my name, the test. That's positive. You see it? That's positive. You see in the red?
Oh, I see. POS. P-O-S.
That's it. Positive for 2019-NCOV.
Yeah, that would be pretty scary to get something like that.
You can say that again.
Yeah, right. You're all healthy and recuperated. And now what do you do? Do you go out? Do you stay in? What's your
I work from home.
Right.
I go see my son. He lives alone. I go see my mother. She lives alone. And my boyfriend will come over. But other than that, I go food shopping once a week. I can't breathe with that mask on. I have claustrophobia.
No. But you have to wear it though, right?
That and gloves. Yep. Just to end it, on April 7th, I had to go to a doctor, and they wanted to make sure I didn't have the virus. So they tested me, and I was tested negative.
And it was the same test.
Same test, except the girl put something up both nostrils just to make sure if it's not up here, it's over here. You know.
Oh right, double check. And
that was a big Q-tip.
Was it through the drive-through also?
It was in the parking lot of a doctor's office.
Oh, they didn't want you to come in.
In order for me to go there, we needed to know if I was.
So what was she wearing? If she was testing you and she knew you were positive,
a mask and gloves.
any eye goggles or no?
I don't remember.
Yeah, because I would think they would really and it was just like a big Q-tip, and they took it and then they probably put it on a little petri dish or whatever it was. They wrapped it up and sent it in, and then they sent you another email, or how did that come about that you knew?
I had a call. I had a contact number at the doctor's office, and I called after a day. She said they're not ready. I called her the next day, and she called me back, and she said, I have good news for you. And I was like, oh, no, that was really good news. And so supposedly I had the antibodies. I want to donate plasma. I'm waiting for Red Cross to get back to me.
What does that do with donating plasma? Does that help people that have it? Like, what is that for?
I think it's just in the workings. I'm assuming.
So now you have the antibodies. So they tested you for that also, I guess, when they did the whole thing.
Well, I'm assuming that they're going to do that. I really don't know what they're doing. I think they were going to assume that I have the antibodies. I don't know, but
because you have to do a blood test. You didn't do any blood test, right? I would think you would have to do a blood test. That's what I would think.
Yeah, I'm getting that checked also.
Right.
I know someone, and I'm going to have my antibodies. And
it's good, it's good to know somebody. Yeah, it's good to know somebody.
It is.
Because, right, I wonder how they would admit you into the hospital, like how sick you would have to be admitted into the hospital.
I probably would have to have been coughing profusely.
You had all the signs. You had all the symptoms. And you would have had to get checked in, which is probably not a good thing because then you're around everybody breathing it. Because if everybody has it.
I already had it. Like,
that's true.
I'm not going to catch it again while I have it. So whatever my symptoms are.
That's true.
But I wouldn't want a tube put down my throat into my lungs if I didn't need it. So I'm just glad I didn't get to that point.
Oh, yeah, because they probably would have had to empty out the fluids and stuff. So, well, it's good. Well, Alyssa, it's good. You look great. It's great that you came out of it, and you're a survivor.
The only thing that came out of this whole thing is I lost weight, 10 pounds, 13 pounds, whatever. Right. It's the only good thing.
No, it's good. You probably cleaned out a lot of stuff. You got rid of a lot of stuff that wasn't needed in there.
The day I felt better, oh my God, I was so hungry.
Did you eat a lot?
I did. I was eating for an hour and a half.
Well, when you were going through it, were you eating when you were sick?
Very little.
You had no appetite?
I was so hungry because I had the hunger pangs, but I had no appetite. It was weird.
Oh, so what you would like put something in your mouth and you plus it tasted bad.
It tasted horrible. I was pouring salt on everything.
Ooh.
I had to taste the salt in the food.
Wow.
And
that's good. Well, it's good. You got through it. You got through it. That's great. You feel great. Let's hope it stays that way. Thank you for joining us. Alyssa had a great talk about this, and she got through it, and that's great. And she feels great. She looks great, and it was nice to see you again.